Hello, everyone. I'm Remy.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Casey.
Welcome back to day 10 of the Day 1's Discourse. Sorry, it's been a while. Lucas took his damn time coming back from U of I.
Yeah, it took a while. I was really busy with school, and then we had a bunch of technical mishaps happen, and
Yeah, we actually recorded 2 episodes before this one, but we had to scrap them both because Lucas sounded like he was talking through a trash can while we were recording, so that's how that turned out.
the frustrating thing is it's literally the exact same mic that we're currently using, so... Oh, that was a nice voice crack right there, guys.
He's still going through puberty. It's all right.
Oh my gosh. Guys, so I've been watching The Mandalorian. I just watched chapter 3 last night, and I literally cannot tell you guys how much I'm going to start crying right now. How much I love Baby Yoda. I would honestly lose my left toe. All of my left toes for Baby Yoda.
I think literally everyone would. It's the most adorable thing.
I would kill for Baby Yoda.
Who wouldn't, honestly?
Oh my gosh. It's such a good show, too. It's like... Anyways. All right. Do we want to get into our topic for today?
Yeah, so I want to ask you guys some questions. Just some would you rathers. They're pretty good. They're going to start off kind of slightly more shallow and hopefully get better. But, yeah, I'll start with my first one. Don't read them. These are surprise. Okay. First one. Would you rather have $500 million
Done.
or unlimited connections?
Unlimited connections.
$500 million.
Okay, Remy, why would you that?
If I had unlimited connections, I'm assuming you're talking about like knowing people, right?
Yes.
So if I knew literally every single person on this planet and assuming they all liked me, there is no ends to the amount of stuff that I could get. It wouldn't matter if I had money. I could get whatever job I wanted. I can get into whatever school I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted and it wouldn't matter. I would make tons of money just off of that.
All right. I would go with the $500 million because A, I could buy my friends at that point. No, I'm just teasing. I just don't like the idea. Of getting money from other people. I like the idea of just having a $500 million appear in my bank account and not having to like kind of like work for it or like feel like I'm having to be nice to people unnecessarily. Like I don't want to be like a kiss ass to someone to try and get money. Like that's just...
So what you're telling me is you got $500 million from someone, but you wouldn't want to get money from someone?
No, I mean, if it appeared in my bank account, the way that Casey is like describing the situation versus someone like is like, oh yeah, all of a sudden you get a phone basically with just every single person's number on the entire planet or something like that.
No, yeah. It's really, I wasn't sure what I would choose, but after hearing that, I think I'd go with Lucas. Just the $500 million because, like you said, I wouldn't want to feel like things are being handed to me. And I don't talk to a lot of people as it is, so having all that money and being able to do whatever I wanted with it would be a lot more freeing than having to contact people whenever I wanted something.
$500 million is more than you're ever going to need.
Yeah.
That's so much more than anyone will ever need in their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like
The way I see it is I could solve so many of the world's problems if I just had connections with absolutely everyone. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the issues that go on is tons of miscommunication. And if you could solve that issue, I just think the world would be a better place.
That's a good point, but I'd still rather have $500 million.
yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the idea. Like with the whole like we all watch like David Dobrik's vlogs.
Yeah.
And
Remy doesn't. He doesn't like him, but
it's because Remy's lame. But anyways, I don't know what I would do if David like gave me a car if I was one of his friends. Mm-hmm. I would literally be like, dude, I have to pay you back for this. Like I feel so bad. Like this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. It takes away from your feeling of like independency and like your ability to, I guess, sustain yourself or like support yourself.
It just makes me feel like I don't want them to think that I'm only in the friendship for their like net worth or like to get anything out of it. And like if that's your reason for like having all these connections is like to get like if you're comparing this basically like the way that you set up the question in terms of like you have all of a sudden a really great economic status or you have the potential to get a really great economic status through your friends type of thing. I don't want those friends that I acquire to think that I'm only being friends with them to like gain this newfound economic independence from them.
Yeah, good points all around.
Yeah, get the smoke, Remy.
Fair enough.
All right, so next question, little different approach. Would you rather gradually lose your sight or gradually lose your ability to physically feel?
Gradually lose my ability to physically feel.
Really?
Yeah, and I think this one could actually work out to my advantage, because I think as you get older, naturally you just go through more aches and pains in your body, and all of a sudden, with you being unable basically to like feel all this pain that you're feeling as a natural byproduct of growing older, that sounds pretty decent to me. I mean,
I actually didn't think about that.
I do lose my ability to see, and almost for the exact reason that Lucas took his ability, is that if something's wrong, my body's going to tell me that. Like if I have cancer or if I break my leg or anything. And if I don't feel that, I don't know that something's wrong, and therefore I'm not going to go in and get checked, which could then lead to my eventual death. So I think visual.
I'm just going to let natural selection do its work to me.
See, I kind of agree with Remy, just because I've heard about people before. Someone who actually went to high school with us had a condition where they couldn't feel pain. Like
Did they have leprosy?
No. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's called. But he basically, his nerves just don't work like ours do.
Okay.
And he can't feel pain. And because of that, he can't do anything. Like he can't play in sports. He can't do anything cool or fun, because there's a risk that he'll get hurt and he'll have no idea, and it can cause serious problems. So yeah, I'd side with Remy, but I can see where you're coming from too.
Yeah, it'd be hard because I love my being able to see stuff, and I think not being able to see is one of the worst things. Like it's really hard, and just adjusting to that capability of not being able to ever see again would be hard. But I just think
that lifestyle change would be so just and the idea of being able to see and then not being able to see one day would be just so tantalizing. I mean, you watch those videos on like Instagram where those guys, they'll get like, have you seen the videos of the people who are colorblind? Yeah. And then they get the like colorblind correction glasses, and then all of a sudden they just break down and start crying. Yeah. Like I feel like it'd be kind of the inverse effect, where I would get so sad without the presence of sight, especially just because like when I grow older, my whole goal is to like, after I finish like working in that kind of thing, to go somewhere up in the mountains or go live out a life where I've got some really nice peaceful scenery. To be able to not experience that would be really terrible.
Yeah. One nice thing about that would just be that like music, and we all love music so much. You wouldn't, honestly, that is what would keep me going. Yeah. If I was blind, I'd have music I can hear. I can still find all that stuff. But
yeah, and another thing I love doing, and I know Casey and Lucas enjoy, is reading books. At least I can still listen to audiobooks and stuff. It's not as good, but it's still going to be, I'm still going to be able to do that. So I think, losing my sight would probably be my choice, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so
also the thing I will say, have you guys ever heard of just kind of getting a little off topic here, have you guys ever heard of the guy who can like echolocate? Yeah, I mean, you could try and teach yourself how to do that, which I've always thought would be so cool. Like learn it, like if you lost the ability to, like if I ever lost all of a sudden my ability to see, that's the first thing that I would try and do, is just start to teach myself how to like learn to echolocate.
I feel like that's probably harder if you're older and you lose your sight, but if you were younger, then you might be able to do it.
No, I haven't heard the story in a long time. For you listeners out there, I encourage you to go look it up. I remember I read some article or watched a YouTube video about a guy who could echolocate by like making clicking noises with his tongue, and then hearing the vibrations, like the sound waves come back, and then he could paint like a mental picture from it. Also, similar, like the way the bats do. One
perk of losing my sight is I could then get a sight dog or a service dog, and if I can't feel, I can't get a service dog for that, but I can almost certainly get a service dog for not being able to see.
You can get a service dog for anxiety, depression, like I guarantee you get one for like tactile insensitivity.
I don't know. That would be a little. I'd feel weird getting a service dog for that reason personally. Like I think that wouldn't be a good enough reason to get one, because then I'm not losing anything besides being able to feel, and my dog's not going to help me feel. So I don't know if I would see a reason for it.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't be able to pet dogs anymore. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a deal breaker.
Next question.
Okay. Would you rather relive one day of your choice that you lived so far in your life, one day of your choice for 10 years, or live a normal life and die in 5 years? So, okay, sorry. Let me preface this a little more. Would you rather, like I said, choose one day from your life to relive for 10 years straight, and then your life continues after that. You grow old during the time. So
any alterations to that day?
Well, you get to relive it, and you just get to do whatever you want. It's like have you seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he basically just wakes up the same day over and over, and he can do whatever. So it's that, or you die in 5 years from now.
I do that.
Which one?
I'd do the first one.
Yeah.
Relive every single day. Because think about it. You take a month and then you learn every single thing that happens throughout that day, and then you can use it to get rich. Or no, because you'd wake up. Oh, never mind. No, yeah, you could spend 10 years basically learning every single possible thing that you could about the stock market or something along those lines at that very moment, and then know exactly what it's going to do by the very end of the day, as long as you follow this exact same course of action. And then throughout that time, just on that very last day of your 10-year sentence, so call it, invest all of your money into the stock market in this pattern that you've been noticing, and then you just pull out all the money the next day, and then you've made all that money.
My issue with that statement is it has to be a day we've already lived, and I can't think of a single day that I've had enough money to really make a difference investing or betting or doing something like that.
Yeah. So
That's true. Currently out of my life.
So what you're saying, if you wanted to do that, it would have to be something, you'd have to be choosing the most recent day that you lived. But like, how awful would that day be comparatively to other days that you've lived before? Because like you'd have this opportunity to do this same thing over and over for 10 years. So would you want to give yourself the chance to do something that you were enjoying doing at that time, like a really cool moment? Or would you rather take an approach of a more boring day or the most recent day to gain advantage of like future things happening?
I can see doing the same day 10 years, because I could develop so many different skills. Like I just pick a day where I wouldn't be doing anything, say I wouldn't be hanging out with anyone, my family's out of town or something, and I could just spend that entire time perfecting myself, getting good at art, getting good at...
You have 10 years of just unadulterated time to just devote your life to something.
I could be the best tennis player of all time the second that 10 years is up. But that's 10 years of, that kind of stuff, and I'd be missing out on 10 years of my life. However, the other side is, do I want to die in 5 years? But that would also make another question of, what would you do with the rest of your life if you knew you were going to die in 5 years?
That's where I was coming from when I thought about it. I was thinking, if I chose the 5 years, then I'd have a date. I know, like, I'm not living past that point, so I got to do everything I possibly can. And I feel like it'd be kind of a relief knowing that, like, your days are numbered. I need to do these things that I've been afraid to do or haven't like had the courage to do, and I'm going to go do them because I don't have much time left.
That's also so much pressure though. Like that puts so much pressure on each individual day to like make the absolute most of everything. Oh, that's crazy.
It also brings up the point of, you don't know when you'll die, so why isn't that pressure on you every single day?
I think it just has to do with people's fear of death. I mean, this is a huge topic, death itself, but each of us, we don't wake up thinking, oh yeah, I could die today. I mean, most people don't have that thought. Granted, some people might, but I know I don't wake up every morning thinking, oh man, I could die like this afternoon. I need to do something sick. Like I don't think that way.
Yeah, so I'm not too terrified of death. I honestly think I'd pick the 5 years one, because then I'm also not like super into having a family either. Like that's never been something that I've been like really interested in. And so the aspect of not being able to have a family, it doesn't scare me either. And knowing that I can spend those 5 years just doing stuff and not having to worry about anything else, knowing this is the time I'm going to die, I'm just going to live to the fullest. So I think that's what I'd do.
Yeah. All right. We got one more. This is a I think it's a good one. Would you rather live a life of isolation? You don't get to know anyone, you don't get to meet anyone for your entire life. Or never get to know someone for more than a week.
So it's like the 50 First Dates movie where the guy meets the girl and she doesn't have any memory and she keeps living the same day over and over and over again.
Yeah, do people just forget that you exist after a week? Or?
Yeah, you'll never get to see them ever again after a week.
Disappear. Oh, I'd still definitely go with that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you could have some really cool, like if you know the person's not going to remember you in a week, you can do whatever you want to them and it's not going to matter.
Plus, I mean, sometimes the beginning of friendships are like sometimes the most fun. Like it's very typical, like being as part of a fraternity. Like rush week is always super fun because you're meeting so many different guys all the time and you can just totally envision them in your house and like bringing them in and imagining them like pulling you to go do all their different activities that they're involved in. And like right once guys will get into the house, you'll naturally gravitate towards others. And then they'll kind of like pull you out of whatever you're doing to go do a different activity that you weren't necessarily expecting to go do type of thing. And then if you could only live basically with like week by week friends, I think they'd pull you to do just so many different assets of like life that you wouldn't ordinarily do. I mean, like think about it, Casey, like the first couple times that we hung out, we used to go to the backyard and like throw frisbees at each other.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm really torn between the two because there's a part of me that's like, you'll never have like a connection with anyone in either scenario. Like it may be for a week. But you'll have the taste of that person, especially if it's someone you really want to hang out with, whether it's a friend or something more intimate. You'll never get to like continue that. And it could be like heartbreaking. Just every week there's someone new. Yeah, it'd be cool to get to know all these different people and do all these different things.
And isolation would be just so sad.
See, I think that really depends on how you live it, because I think there's a lot of ways that you could make that enjoyable. I mean, there's a lot of shows like Life Below Zero, where people just they literally live by themselves out in the middle of nowhere, Canada or Alaska, and they enjoy it. Like it's what they like doing. They just sit out there, they live off the land, they hunt.
Casey, you don't hunt.
I'd learn if I had to. I mean, if I'm living by myself, you'd find ways to get through it. And yeah, it could get really lonely, but I think I honestly couldn't choose between the two. I have no idea what I'd choose because there's negatives to both and there's positives to both, but I don't know if one outweighs the other, for me at least.
Yeah, I think I would just pick the 7 days one just because I would still have human contact and I would be able to do things at least still, like in a city and go do stuff and whatever. And so it still leaves stuff open for me to do, stuff that I like doing, like playing sports and other stuff like that. So I think I would do that even if the likelihood of me ever seeing those people again is 0. I think I'd still probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. I think that's about the end of our time for today. So why don't we get into this week's song recommendations? Do you want me to start it off?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. I'm gonna recommend the song. In case you're gonna hate me for this, but Bravado by Yoke. Amazing song. The lyrics in it, if you go in and you look at the lyrics on Apple Music or Spotify, they're so good. So I'd highly recommend listening to the lyrics the first time, or reading the lyrics the first time you listen to the song.
Man, copping my recommendation. I see how it is. But go ahead, Aaron.
I think my choice this week is going to be My Thoughts on You by the band CAMINO. It's just a really fun, really good, feel-good song, so I like it.
Mine for this week is going to be Madeleine by Alexander Biggs. It's a really chill song, kind of sad, and
It's nice.
yeah, it's good. So we'll leave these songs in the description if you want to check them out. So feel free to do that. Also check out our social media at the Day One's Discourse on Instagram, and that's it for us. So thanks for listening.
Tune in next time, guys.
See you later.